my name's Terry McKeon. I'm a physical therapist. Been practicing for about 28 years. And I get a lot of people coming into my office with back and neck pain because of all the sitting, the studying they're doing, or the working that they're doing that's sitting in a chair. And so I get asked the same question a lot. What's the best chair or best position for me to sit in? And honestly, there is no one best chair or best position. You should learn how to be able to keep moving throughout your day, even though you have to sit a lot. So I put together this video. It's kind of a lot of common advice that I've given over the years about how to weave in exercises and how to learn different positions for your neck and for your lower back that will help you to maintain the health of your joints and keep you away from my office because you don't want to be here. First thing I'm going to do is get rid of the wallet out of my back pocket because that's going to give you trouble. Second thing I'm going to do, probably one of the most common exercises that I could teach you to help your neck is called a chin tuck, or sometimes we call it a double chin, and the technical term is called retraction. And I see this performed a lot on YouTube, and a lot of times it's incorrect. So here I am slouching away, and I'm going to come up from that slouch, and as I come up, it's like someone's got a piece of string pulling on the top of my head, and as I'm doing this, my chin is tucking in like so, and I'm giving myself a double chin. Now, hopefully I'm demonstrating this right. The way to think about it is if I had laser beams coming out of my eyes, I want those laser beams to be perfectly horizontal or very slightly, maybe 1 or 5 degrees down. You don't want it 10 or 20 or 30 degrees down, and you certainly don't want it even 1 or 2 or 3 degrees up, because then you start to get this jamming of the joint if you're trying to do it like this. So here's my slouch position, and here's my double chin or my chin tuck, and I'm thinking about my eyes being level on the horizon. And when you look at it, you should look really lovely with this big double chin here. The more the better. So that's how you want to do it. You can vary this angle very slightly, 1 or 5 degrees this way, think of it, and then do it again this way, chin tuck. Do it this way, like a little head bobble. So that's a great one to do frequently. Whenever you're thinking about it, it stretches out the little muscles just below your skull. Now from this, we can take and think about what's the best positioning while I'm working at my desk. So you want your computer to be in a position where the screen can be, again, sort of eye level. You don't want it down because then you'll start doing this to see it. And you don't want it too up because then you'll be doing this. So somewhere in this range where I can keep my head here, I'll go to my chin tuck, and this is a good stretch. And notice I'm using 2 fingers, either here or here, because it helps you do a little extra anytime you do a stretch. If I put my finger back, I can only go this far, but with a little help, I can go further. Same thing with your neck, a little help. I'm not fighting against it, I'm helping it. So that's a stretch. And then back off from this about 10%. And that's a nice position to try and come back to remind yourself to come back to this neutral. And hopefully the camera's showing my ears relatively over my shoulders, not way out in front. Because you get lots of extra pressure on trying to hold this big bowling ball up. If your head's here, all these muscles have to work too hard. When it's right over your head, it'll balance nice and easy. And then think about what's going on in your low back. In your low back, you want to make sure that you have somewhere near neutral. Here's a slouch, completely slouched position. And I wouldn't say you never want to be here, you just don't want to be here for a long time. So it's not bad to slouch for 5 minutes or a few minutes, but then have an awareness and get yourself back to what I call neutral. Here's the other direction, which is extreme, kind of all the way to chin tuck and all the way arched and all the way extended. And here's somewhere in the middle. So it's nice to bring yourself back to the middle for the most part, but it's okay to be sometimes slouching for a little bit. And it's okay to take yourself to the other extreme as a nice stretch and do your chin tucks. And then that brings me to the next thing of doing an exercise where you go from really extreme slouch to chin tuck. And you could do this really, every half hour or hour if you wanted to, just do a few of them. And if it feels good, do 10 or more. Now, this brings me to some other positions. I call them office yoga positions. Here's office warrior pose number 1. I'm going to get to the edge of the chair, and notice my chair doesn't have any arms. I find arms to be more restricting, and they get you lazy. So I get rid of the arms so I can move around. I can be a yoga master all day if I don't have arms in the way. Now I'm going to turn it so I'm on the corner here, and this is, sometimes I think of it as the Zorro stretch. The front foot is going towards your opponent that you're trying to get with fencing, and the back leg is at this angle, 90 degrees to it. So like that. And your butt is right in the corner of the chair. And if you've ever taken yoga classes, this is a yoga pose, but the chair isn't always there to help you in yoga class. And now what I'm going to try and do is bring my knees back behind me this way, apart from each other. And I can be in that nice yoga position, 30 seconds, a minute, be typing away, listening to my phone, checking my email, and I can relax off by letting the knees come in for a little bit. I can slouch a little bit and then arch, and then bring the knees apart again. So it's this kind of going from the stretch to the not stretch to the slouched back to up to here, and then stretching apart. So this is a way to explore in warrior pose. And you can explore with your pelvis a little bit. Slouch a little bit while you're in the pose, arch a little bit. So that's one way, and then you just turn it and go the other way. And let me just turn this. You can see what it looks like this way. Like so. I'm a little easier this way, or a little stiffer the other way. So you can notice those things. Here I'm relaxed and slouched, and I'm going to come back up. My knees go apart from each other. I'm going to come up, and I can pretend my desk is here. And you might only last 30 seconds or so with this stretch. You might only be 15. And then you feel a nice inner thigh stretch, and you move on to something else. You go back to your slouching, or you're back to your neutral. And I'll show you another warrior pose. This one, you can put the chair this way. If you have adjustability, you can really lower it, or you can put a pillow here, and you can be here for a while. And again, you can bring it right up to the desk. If you have an adjustable desk, it's great. And in this position, everything's forward, and I'm getting a nice stretch of my hip flexor, like so. If the chair is too high, it's okay if the knee is up. And so this is another warrior pose. In yoga class, it looks like this, when both feet are kind of pointing forward towards the front of the class, and you go down into a lunge, and you might do this kind of thing, and the instructor might say to play around with your pelvic tilt. Now, how does that look when you're trying to just work, not have to focus on all that? You take your chair and you slide it a little bit so it's on the corner, or if you're a stool, that's fine. You can use a stool. And then you put yourself in this position. You get your hips to face the desk. You get your shoulders to face the desk. And that may be enough. You may feel a nice stretch here. If you want more stretch, you take your pelvis, and just like Elvis or Miley Cyrus, depending on your generation, you tuck your tailbone underneath like you're a dog in trouble. And when you do this, make sure it's all from the bottom, not from the top like this. You don't want to do that. It's just the tucking of the tailbone, and whew, boy, do I feel that stretch here. And yet I'm hopefully still relatively square to my desk with the hips and the shoulders. Good. Now, if I want to explore a little more, I'll hold on to the desk, and I'm going to push my knee back and forth. With this one, I might arch my back a little bit, as long as it doesn't pinch or irritate you. It's okay to do that sometimes. And I might hold my tailbone steady and try and do it, not let it arch. Whew, that gives me a different sensation. And here I go again. Okay, so that's one way. And then even yourself off, and you go to the other leg, same thing. Sometimes I'll tuck and hold. Sometimes I'll move my knee and let my back arch. Sometimes I won't let my back arch, and I'll try and move my knee. I won't get as far because my back's not letting me. And these are great. These are psoas stretches. And the last bit of this one that sometimes I love to do is just go up and stretch and go left and right with this. So a nice stretch in the middle of the day, whenever. When you're stretching, you can't do really too much. You can go too far, and you don't want to go into pain. But if you did them 5 or 10 times a day, if you had a favorite one or two, that's fine, as long as you'd go to what is a nice, gentle stretch for you. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to talk about is sort of starting to get into the standing desk situations. If you have a standing desk, you can sit backwards on your desk itself. It's a little higher. And from here, this allows me the opportunity to slouch and arch as an exercise. And it's really easy to find my neutral position. And if I had my standing desk in front of me, my rolling desk, which I do have somewhere over here, but you can sit on the desk and go like that. And that can be just another way to change the angle because you don't want to be in the same place. My lazy one at home, so long as no one's looking, because my wife will yell at me for doing this to the chairs, but it is nice to sometimes recline for 5 minutes or so. And with that, you can put a little roll, lumbar roll if you want to. And then once you recline in a good position, and you might want to put something under there, or if you have a recliner, reclining sometimes is fine. Good. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about is with standing desks. Standing desks, you want to have them not too low because then you're going to be crouching down to look at them. So get them up nice and high so that you can bring yourself from that chin tuck slightly back off so that you're neutral, and you can keep the screen in front of you without having to get down and look at it like that. Also consider looking at what your feet are doing. Sometimes you want to have them evenly planted for a while and then switch it up. One foot on the, whatever you call that, foot, I guess. Then switch it again. And what this makes it nice and easy to do is then explore. When your foot is up, it's a lot easier to explore your pelvis. So when I say that, what I mean is you can explore whether, gee, does it feel good to have it more flat right now? Does it feel good to have it more extended? Do I like it in between? And just like with sitting, it's okay to, and I encourage people to do this, to move throughout the day and go ahead, do 5 or 10 of them. These little Elvis pelvis thrusts forward and backwards. You can even go mini circles, like a circle around, and explore it all throughout your day. That gentle motion is lotion for all the joints, and you're also bringing your mind to the awareness of how to move each little individual segment, and you'll get better at it as you practice. Notice I'm not moving my upper body or my head to make the motion happen. It's all from my hips and lower pelvis that motion's coming from. And feel free to explore that. Okay, so next thing. Think about, because we're meant to be moving all day, when you got to go up and use the restroom, don't just get up once. Get up 5 times or 10 times. 1, 2, 3. And notice my position on the side. I'm keeping a neutral spine. A lot of people will go down like this. You don't want to round your back. Keep your tailbone back and up so that it's sort of nice and neutral. Whew. After about 10 of them, you feel the burn in those quad muscles. You do that 5 times a day, getting up to go to the restroom, and that'll be helpful. It'll kind of get things loosened up and moving. The other thing you can do when you're up at the restroom, should you want to, is just do 5 or 10 wall slides while you're in the restroom. Take that time and get a little exercise in. Doesn't take much, 5 or 10 reps here and there throughout the day. It adds up to 30, 40, 50 throughout your day. Be surprised. All right, so moving on. The last, simple things I would say in the sitting position before we move on from there is basic things like bringing your shoulder blades back and together in different positions. I call this the ski jump position, like you're a professional ski jumper flying through the air. This is the stick 'em up position, or the W position. Yep. Or the I didn't do it, wasn't me kind of position. That's good. I like the L position, where you rotate out and open your chest up, like so. Is a good one. Simple lat stretches, left and right, and rotation stretches. And breathe with these, so your ribs expand. And turn your head left and right. simple things from the yoga class taken to your office. Doesn't take many, one or two, does a lot. Okay, now we're moving on. So let's say you're at home and you have a ball. Look at this, I didn't have to go far. I get a lot of questions about, how about a ball? Can I sit on a ball? And a ball is great, but it can also be just as bad as a regular chair if you don't have the awareness that comes with it. Because once we get tired on a ball, almost all of us end up here again. And we're just as bad. But for a while, I find sitting on a ball for 10, 15, 20 minutes here and there can be great. And there's so many good things you can do with this ball. The first thing I like to call this one is the ball compass, because I'm going to go in a north and south direction first. So I'm going to go forward with the ball and backwards with the ball. And this should look very familiar by now. We talked about this, doing it in the chair or doing it in standing. And it's the Elvis pelvic tilt or the Miley Cyrus twerk. And I'm doing it from below. So when I first teach people, a lot of people end up doing this. They're moving their head or they're moving their whole body to move the ball. That's not going to fly. It's not going to hurt you, but it's not going to do as much good. You want to let yourself slouch a bit by tucking that tailbone forward like a dog in trouble, rounding the lower back. That takes my ball forward, or we'll call it north. And then the tailbone is going to grab the ball and flick it back slowly, and my tailbone is going to go back towards this back wall and up towards the ceiling. And notice how I arch and I come up really tall, and I'll even get in towards the chin tuck. And you might do that 5 or 10 times. And after going north and south, I'm going to go east and west. I'm going to swing my hips to the left, and I'm trying to bring my belt line up to my ribs. And I'll swing my hips to the right. See what that looks like from behind. I'm going west. I'm going east. After I've gone north, south, west, and east, I'm going to go around the globe like a belly dancer. One way and the other way. Nice and slow. If it ever hurts, just don't go that far. Like, for instance, you're going off to the west and you get to, I don't know, Colorado or the Rockies, and you go, ooh, there's a pinch. Don't go that far. Just go, to the heartland, and then scooch to the Antarctica, and then over to China. And so, go within what feels good to you. After you've done ball compass, which is north, south, east, west, and around the globe, stop in the middle where it feels best to you and hold it there. And you can be typing away, and you can go back to that and hold it there. Draw your belly button into your spine. See if you can lift a leg. Keep the knee bent. Don't do that. And just keep your neutral. When you lift the leg, don't let yourself scooch to the North Pole again. Right? Stay in the center. Stay near the equator with your arch of your back. And now you're getting core exercise and strengthening while you're doing your work. And this awareness. Okay? So that's the good stuff for the ball. If you're lucky enough to have a ball, you can once or twice a day roll on top of it and do a series of exercises called skis, T's, W's, and Y's. And it looks like this. My neck is going to go back to that neutral we learned earlier with a chin tuck and then back off 10 or 20%. And here's my Olympic ski jumping. I'm not doing this. I'm keeping my shoulders down. Ski jumping. Here's a T. And everyone does this when I tell them to do a T. You're going to think your arms are in a T, but they're probably going to be here. So check it that you got a 90 degrees at your armpit and keeping your chin slightly tucked. And you're going to do a stick 'em up or a W. Looks like this. About 10 times. And then a Y. Thumbs up. YMCA. Like that. With all of these, try not to hike your shoulder up to the ear. Keep it slightly down if you can. Those are the main ones. And you do it to fatigue. If you don't have a ball, don't fear. Grab 2 couch cushions from your couch or pile up a bunch of pillows like this. And lie on those pillows. This can be a wonderful 5-minute break just like this, just lying on your stomach. And while you're here, you can take, because you're raised up now, you can take these and a 1-pound weight or no weight at first, But as you get stronger, you move to 1 and 2 pound weights. Here's my ski jumper. Here's my tee. Notice my chin is in neutral. It's slightly tucked. You can have it either up or down, but you don't want it like this. Never like that. Here's my W. Here's my Y. Great. While I'm here, I'm going to play around with this, my pelvis. I'm going to flatten it, pelvis, pelvic, tilt. I'm going to go forward, like so. And I'm going to do some hip extensions too. I might do about 5 cobras, so long as you don't have any pain with that. While I'm there, and away you go. So there is some advice for you on exercises to kind of break up your day. I'm going to show you one more that I find is a nice complement to these. If at your office or at your home office, wherever that is, you have a door that shuts nicely and a TheraBand, you can really go into some nice strengthening for your neck and for your shoulder blades. And you do the same thing we did on the ball. Here's your ski jumper. Check my chin here. You don't want to be out like that. You're going to get your chin back in neutral. Here's my T's. Here's my robbers, or stick 'em up, or W's, whatever you want to call these, like so. I don't do the Y's. The Y's can be problematic with a band. And I did want to show you one last one. This one's probably the funnest. Save the funnest for last here. And this one is a chair oblique. So you lie on your side and you can go way up like so. And you really work the quadratus lumborum in your low back, the side of your trunk here, these muscles, your obliques. And you can just stay there. If you get really stronger at it and want to have some fun with it, you can lift the top leg up and down like Jane Fonda exercises, forward and back. And then when you're done and you want to relax, it's a nice stretch to let that hang and let that stretch. That feels good. And if you want to get real fancy, you can turn over this way. I like to spin my elbows. It's good for the wrists, good for the elbows. I'm spinning them left and right. And then I like to do a little bit of that push-up plus, kind of rolling my blades forward and holding my weight up with my blades. And if I want more force, I just walk out a little further. Now I'm holding more of my weight up, and I can do the same thing. Notice my chin is hopefully still relatively neutral. I haven't lost my glasses this whole time. That's pretty amazing. And I'm not doing this with my shoulders. I'm not hiking them up. I'm keeping them down. And in the span of what has this been, about 20 minutes of filming, I've got a good workout in. Now, you don't have to do it all at once, but if you can learn those and kind of work them into your day a little bit here and there, by the time your day is done, you'll feel like each joint has been worked over. Both chest is opened up, the lower back is opened up. You've worked them a little bit, and you haven't been stuck in one position all day, even though you've had to sit all day. Okay, good luck.